What's up, guys? My name is Ace, and with the launch of Modern Warfare, I know a lot of you guys are trying to rank up as fast as possible, so today I'm going to be sharing some great tips to help you get up to level 55 as fast as you possibly can. Some of these are going to be the more obvious tips that you've seen in most Call of Duty games in the past, whereas other ones are unique to Modern Warfare. So let's just hop into it, and the first thing you may notice when looking in Modern Warfare in the barracks is we don't have a traditional challenge system like we had in the past. As far as we can see, at least at launch, all we have are daily challenges, which, by the way, I highly encourage you guys to complete those because those will typically reward a decent amount of XP for how difficult they are to complete. Unfortunately, for me at least, they have been a little bit bugged out for the first day, and I can only complete one per day for some reason. I think that's completely unintentional, but in either case, there is some decent XP to be earned by completing your daily challenges. The next part is a little bit more unique and something that is new to Modern Warfare. We have mission challenges. And these are excellent for XP if you're actively working towards them, and the key here is you actually have to activate them manually, and you can only work on one set of them at a time. So with these at launch, we have 13 available, and when you activate one, like I said, you can only have one active at any given time. Then they have multiple objectives that you have to complete in order, and each one of these objectives will award XP, as well as for most of them, they also award some sort of cosmetic item like a calling card or a sticker, and then towards the end of it, you actually get a cosmetic blueprint variant for the guns, which is pretty cool. So if you guys haven't checked this out yet, make sure you do that because you do have to actively activate these. A nice thing about this is if you get partway through some of the objectives on one of the missions and then you realize it's just too hard or you don't really want to work towards that particular objective, you can switch over to a different mission and you won't lose the progress on the mission that you were working on. It just sort of pauses it for now. The nice thing about these as well is they are not time-based whatsoever. They will never expire for you, so take all the time in the world. I would recommend, especially for the first 55 levels, that's usually the hardest part, getting through those first 55. I would actually recommend parking objectives when you start getting to a hard one, and then just move on to an easier mission that has an easier starting objective for you. But overall, just make sure you are checking in with these missions if you're trying to rank up as fast as possible, because there is a lot of XP to be earned through these challenges. Now, the next thing I wanted to talk about a little bit is game modes. What are the best game modes for ranking up? First off, at least at the time of recording this video, Ground War is not available yet. By the time it's live, I think Ground War should be active in the game. But from the beta, as well as from the capture event that I attended last week in LA, Ground War was absolutely the best way to rank up as fast as possible if you're just looking at game modes. There are just so many kills to go around, so many objectives that you can constantly be capturing. And I just found if you're looking at the amount of XP per time played, Ground War definitely seemed to be the best, and I anticipate it still will be the best once it goes active for the weekend. Having said that though, some of the other modes aren't terrible by any means. I do recommend objective game modes, so generally like Domination will be better than Team Deathmatch. Headquarters is also a great mode. And if you're into the style of play, Cyber Attack is excellent for XP. It is a little bit better than Search and Destroy. In Cyber Attack, you get a lot of XP for each one of your kills. You get a lot more than you would get in normal game modes. And also reviving teammates, which is something that you can often do fairly easily. That gives you a ton of XP as well. Having said that, Cyber Attack and modes like that aren't for everyone. I personally am not the biggest fan of playing those modes, so I'm not going to be using this to rank up very much, but if you are into that style of mode, Cyber Attack is an excellent option. Another thing I wanted to mention when it comes to objective game modes is in modes like Domination, for instance, I've found that it's best to just capture as many flags as possible. Normally in Domination, if you're just trying to play as effectively as possible, you capture a home flag, you capture the B flag, and then you hold map control. When you're looking at getting the most XP possible, it's actually in your best interest to go for that third flag and flip spawns, as long as you still feel like you have a good chance of winning the game. Because this brings me to my next point. Winning games gives you a really good match bonus when it comes to XP, so you definitely want to try your best to win every game possible, and this means partying up is often in your best interest as well if you're trying to get as much XP as possible. Get into a party with some people that you know you can count on, and just try to get your wins as fast as possible for that match bonus. Now, if you aren't winning your games, don't worry, it's still in your best interest to stay until the end of the game because you still do get a match bonus. It's not as good of a bonus as if you win, but it's much better than just leaving the game and not getting that match bonus at all. So definitely try to stick it out to the end of the game because you don't want to miss out on that match bonus. Going back to game modes a little bit, I also did a little bit of testing in hardcore game modes, And I did find that hardcore modes are actually a little bit better than core modes for XP, assuming your performance can still keep up. I'm somebody that generally performs just as well in core as I do in hardcore, and like I said, I definitely noticed I was getting more XP on average in hardcore modes. And this could be due to some hidden XP in the background for getting a one-shot, one-kill medal. This is something we've seen in previous Call of Duty games, but that does not actually pop up on screen at all while playing hardcore, so I'm just making an assumption here. In either case, hardcore modes, like I said, generally you get a little bit of a boost of XP. Now, something that's new with Modern Warfare and was a big talking point for them is cross-leveling. So you level up in campaign, you level up in Spec Ops, and that all applies to the same level. Well, based on my testing, campaign does not level your character up at all. So I don't know if they made some changes or something here, but campaign does not seem to help at all with your regular leveling. It doesn't even seem to help with your weapon leveling. And Spec Ops, this does technically help with leveling your character up, but the earn rate for XP is abysmally low, and I wouldn't recommend this at all if you're just trying to maximize your time as far as ranking up your character. Like, the amount of XP that you get in Spec Ops isn't even close to the amount of XP you would get in the same amount of time in multiplayer matches. Just as an example, I spent about 10 minutes playing Spec Ops Survival. I got 725 XP. In that same amount of time in Domination, I would be earning between 7 and 12,000 XP. So you get like 10 times the XP in multiplayer than you would in Spec Ops. And this also seemed to apply to the operations. I did get a little bit more XP in this mode compared to Survival, but even then it wasn't even close to scratching the surface of the amount of XP you get in regular multiplayer. So Spec Ops is off the table as far as fast leveling goes. This just leaves us with Gunfight, and Gunfight is pretty decent when it comes to XP. It's not quite as good based on my experience and my testing so far as the regular multiplayer matches like Domination, TDM for instance. But at the same time, it's not bad when it comes to XP, so if you want to get some variety in your gameplay, then by all means, feel free to hop into Gunfight. And this just leaves us with the thing that I've noticed gives you the biggest boost to ranking up, and this is using a wide variety of weapons and also focusing on weapon camo challenges. It seems like as you level up your weapons, that XP also contributes at least somewhat to your main level, and you will progress through the early levels of a weapon much faster than the later levels of the weapon. And this is why I found it's best to mix it up and try to use a very wide variety of guns in the game. Additionally, earning camos will also provide XP for you. It doesn't display it actively anywhere, but I did some testing on this, and it's pretty clear to me that you definitely are gaining XP for getting camo challenges complete. And therefore, I highly recommend that you don't just stick to that same old gun that you've been using. Branch out a little bit and use a wide variety of weapons in order to maximize your ability to rank up quickly. On that same note though, just a little disclaimer, I wouldn't necessarily recommend using weapons that you just really suck with and that you can't really make anything work with, because if you're sacrificing potentially getting a bunch of kills and you're just doing really bad at the game because you're forcing yourself to use a particular weapon, then you're going to be missing out on a ton of XP that you would be getting by actually getting kills with a weapon that you can compete with. So branch out, but at the same time, don't hinder yourself too much by using a weapon that just doesn't work for you. Now, one last tidbit I wanted to mention that does apply to every Call of Duty game out there is your score within the game itself is very strongly tied to XP. It's not exactly proportional to the XP earned all the time because you have challenges and things that you're completing in the background, but essentially you want to maximize the amount of score you're getting in a game. And one of the best ways to do this is to ensure that you're using support-style streaks, because when you have a UAV up, for instance, anytime a teammate gets a kill, you get some score for that. And it might not seem like much, but it definitely adds up over time. And with that, that pretty much covers it as far as ranking up as effectively as possible through the first 55 levels in Modern Warfare. Now, we don't know exactly what happens yet when we get to the officer ranks and the most effective strategies for ranking up through those. It might be a little bit different than these particular tactics, but I'll be sure to keep you guys updated on that if things change when it comes to officer ranks. Of course, I'd like to know in the comment section below, have you found any other tips and tactics for maximizing the speed at which you level up in Modern Warfare? If so, please share it in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more Modern Warfare tips if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.